So Mickey, we've just talked a lot about cyber essentials, and we've now got some good FAQs. Um, if you have a look on the internet, generally you'll see a lot of different questions, and I think it would be a good opportunity for us to touch on some of them now. And the first one is, how much does the certification cost? I can answer that one.
Yeah, 100%.
So, if you're a small organisation, what they classify as a micro organisation, it's going to cost you £320. And then it goes all the way up to a large organisation, which they class as 250 plus, which will be 600. So yeah, there's going to be a bit of variance, but not a ton. So it's not a huge cost to get certified. But yeah, that's how much it will cost for your business, depending on the size.
And since we've talked about the Cyber Essentials certification, how much would the Cyber Essentials Plus certification cost?
Yeah, so it's a little bit different, just because it's going to require a technical expert to come assess your business. Usually they'll go over about 10% of your environment. But it's going to, yeah, as I said, it's going to vary. But if you're for a kind of a smaller business, you're probably looking in the realm of like 1,400. Obviously, the bigger your organisation gets, the more kind of involved that technical expert is going to have to be, the more systems is going to have to over. So it'll be more expensive, but I think if you're looking minimum 1,400, that's probably a good place to start.
And that's just going to scale with the size of your business, really.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
Perfect. The next one we have are, what are the mandatory security controls required for Cyber Essentials? We did cover this briefly. Those are the 5 key controls which we were talking about. So we're going to have our firewalls, everything that is involved there, patch management, malware protection, secure configuration, and then access control. Yeah. Is Cyber Essentials only for large enterprises, or can small businesses get certified too?
No, so it just touch on that. The cost is obviously different depending on your organisation, but it's for all businesses. Doesn't really matter the size you are. What I'd probably say is, if you're smaller, it's probably a better opportunity for you, just because it's a really good first step into cybersecurity. Larger businesses might be looking at other frameworks, or transitioning from Cyber Essentials to something else. But yeah, it's really for every size of organisation. It's really just a good first step into cybersecurity. So yeah, there's no limit there. You should think about it regardless of your size.
Okay. And how does the Cyber Essentials assessment process work? How long does that process typically take for an organisation from start to certification?
Yeah, so you'll sign up, and then you'll pay for the certification, and then you'll have to go through and fill out the questionnaire. That can probably, well, it depends really. What I'd suggest is, before you even go through that process, download the questions, get them all ready, go through the whole thing. We actually probably can provide those, and
yes,
we'll send those over with the webinar. Go through all those questions, and then once you're ready, sign up, purchase the certification or the assessment, and then go through all those questions. And it'll probably take you about an hour, maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less, as long as you prepared everything beforehand. If you're not ready, that's going to take you a lot longer. You have 6 months to finish the assessment once you've signed up, so it's plenty of time. But really, just get prepared, and when you know you're ready, go through it. So that's just Cyber Essentials. Cyber Essentials Plus, you'll go through that process, that same process, and then of course you'll have the external assessor, which will come in and have an audit of your systems, which obviously will take a bit longer. I think they aim to get back to you within 3 days. So you'll know whether you've passed or failed within 3 days. If there is a small fail, they'll give you some type of recommendation. You can go off and make a change within 2 days, and then reapply. If you can't do that, you'll have to go through the certification, like purchasing it again. So try and get that done within that 2-day period.
Perfect. How can Cyber Essentials certification improve my organization's cyber resilience? So I think there's a couple of ways that Cyber Essentials helps with this. So it's first of all the framework, and everything really covered in the 5 controls. So having our firewall set up correctly, stopping external traffic, stuff like that. These are all ways which we're going to protect our organization and our users. We're going to protect our accounts. We're going to stop things like brute forcing with the enablement of multi-factor authentication. There's a good couple of ways that we're going to improve our cyber resilience. The main being just the frameworks that we're going to be putting in place while going over those 5 key controls.
Yeah, I think going through all of that, you're having like a good overview of your organization and kind of where you sit and where your security sits. So just even going through it, even if you don't, you're not going through the certification yet, just going through that process, you can have a good idea where you'll sit and where your security posture is. So I think that's definitely helpful.
Yeah, 100%. Are there any government incentives or requirements for businesses to get Cyber Essentials certified?
Yes. Yeah. So we talked about that in the webinar, but essentially some government contracts will require it, like the MOD. You can't do business with them or get contracts unless you have Cyber Essentials. So it's kind of a prereq.
I do believe that is the plus certification for a lot of the
the
government
plus certification. Because obviously, generally we talked about both, and they are both valuable, but one's going to be looked at a bit more valuable just because there's more steps involved. You have the external assessor, and I think even some local government contracts now have that as a requirement. So it's definitely a good thing to have.
There is also the cyber insurance. I do believe that you can get a lower premium.
Yeah.
Essentially, if you are Cyber Essential certified, so that's also a bonus on top of everything else.
Yeah, definitely.
How frequently does a Cyber Essentials certification need to be renewed?
Every year. Yeah, so it's a yearly process, and you'll have to kind of go through the same questionnaire again, which is probably a good idea that when you've done the certification, that you have a good kind of good management of your system. So maybe have some type of asset management. So you can keep track of all your devices, all your firmware and your software, because every year you're going to have to fill out this, this questionnaire again, which can be time consuming. So if you keep on top of it, it's going to be a lot easier when it comes to the renewal. So you're not kind of starting again every year. Same thing with Cyber Essentials Plus. As I said, you'll have to go through the questionnaire, and then you'll need to get the audit. So that is a yearly thing that you'll need to do.
Okay. What are the most common cyber risks that Cyber Essentials helps mitigate? So I think we touched on that briefly in one of the previous questions. Once again, we could take it anywhere from phishing, brute force attacks, data exfiltration, data leakage. The list just goes on and on, really.
Yeah.
How can Cyber Essentials help protect my organization from cyber threats? Once again, I think it's about that framework. It's about putting in the controls that look to essentially secure your environment and your users.
Yeah, I think it's good. It's having a good security foundation. All of these things is something you should build on. But having them there is going to really protect you from a lot of things, and it's a good first step in getting your business secure. So just use this as kind of the first step. Get all your security controls in place, secure your business, and then you can go from there and build on it.
Perfect. I think we've covered majority of the frequently asked questions. I think it's probably just worth mentioning how important this really is for organizations going into this modern age. That cyber threats are real, and it's not if, but when, right?
Yeah.
I think we mentioned that prior as well, and it's always good to have this framework in place.
Yeah.
Even if you don't end up getting your Cyber Essential certification, go through the questions and just sort of measure where you are as an organization. And then obviously, if you do need any assistance with anything that we have spoken about, you can always give us a shout as well.
Yeah, there's lots of things your business can do. Doesn't matter what size it is. There are controls and things out there that can help. Cyber Essentials is a really good one to look at, especially if you're just getting into your cybersecurity kind of resilience. And hopefully we can help with a lot of those things.
Perfect.